Hello, everybody. It's good to have you here. I truly appreciate you joining me today. I'm going to do a little bit of a Bible study. This is about the book of John, the 15th chapter, and the first to the fourth verse. And that verse reads as follows: I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes. He prunes that it may bear more fruit. Already you are clean because of the word that I've spoken to you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit by itself, unless it abides in the vine, neither can you, unless you abide in me. That's really one of those verses that you look at and you go, that's pretty clear. There's really not much hard to do there. And the Bible scholars tend to agree with that. They say that it is fairly simple to understand what it is that's being said here. Said the problem is that it's really hard to live. Easy to understand what God means, what Jesus means, but a little bit more difficult to understand how it is that you're supposed to apply that to your life. So, first thing to think about is that you are the branch. You are the branch. Jesus is the vine. That's the thing going up that the branch is attached to. And God is the gardener. He's the one that has all total control over what happens with the vine and with the branch. But you have to remember, and this is a key point, you have to remember that you are dependent on the vine and you're dependent on the wisdom of the gardener. Because if the gardener does his job right, then the vine will produce fruit on the branch. So people spend their life trying to be fruitful. I mean, we all do. I mean, we focus. We focus on that. We neglect, however, the source. And that's the problem. Fruit is produced by being connected to the vine. If you're not connected, there will be no fruit. Now, Jesus never says to work harder. He never says to work longer. And he never says that you have to be more disciplined. Because the branch only has one job. And that one job is to stay connected to the vine. You don't have to work harder to do that. You don't have to work longer to do that. You don't have to be more disciplined to do that. You just have to stay connected to Jesus, to the vine. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't go out and build a business. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't, for your employer, do a fair job. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be disciplined in the way you live your life. But in order to bear fruit for God, those things are not required. So you don't have to be self-reliant. I mean, again, we're not talking about the worldly things. Everybody in this room, everybody that's listening to this, they have worked hard for their employers. They have built businesses on their own. They may have been their own employer as they went through life. There's not saying that you shouldn't go out and do that, and that you shouldn't go out and get degrees, and you shouldn't go out and get the certification in that artificial intelligence that you need. What he is saying is that true life comes from God alone. And to do that, you have to stay connected. Now, It's good to remember that the timing of this was just before the crucifixion. And Christ, most of the time when he was providing a story, he normally told a story. He normally painted a picture. He didn't lecture. He didn't sit there and say, here's bullet point A, B, and C. You know, he sat there and he gave you a parable. He gave you a story. And the reason why is because it's much simpler, much more easy to remember that story and to apply that than it is to remember a long litany of bullet points. Now, the other thing, one of the things that you have to think about in this chapter is that God is the gardener. Now, God sees you as you are, and he sees you and he knows what it is that you can become. And he knows that if he comes in and he judiciously prunes your efforts, that is going to allow you to grow in the faith, to have that fruit. Sometimes he has to prune a little bit of good in order to make sure that you can grow in the way that it's intended for you to grow. Those are the times when things happen that you may not understand. May be something that appears to be counterproductive to you. But in the long run, when those prunings happen, good things have happened on the back end of that. So what's the difference between being very active and being fruitful? I think we've all know and we've all seen the illustration that says a high level of activity does not necessarily correspond with the level of productivity. So a high level of activity over here may not impact how fruitful you are as you go forward. God is interested, though, in what we produce. He's interested in the amount of love that you're able to do. He's interested in the amount of kindness that you're able to show, in the amount of faithfulness that you're able to do, the amount of peace that you're able to put into the world. And that's important, very important. But the key phrase that we have in this particular verse, group of verses, is remain in me. That's the bottom line. Remain in me. It's the central point. It means that you have a continuous connection, that you have an awareness of Christ throughout your life. You have your daily chores. You have your hourly activities. You have your moment-to-moment activities. You have to strive to remain in me during all those times. Now, having said all this, I go back to what I said at the very beginning. All this sounds simple. Keep Christ in your heart. Keep the Lord with you during the day. It's not that easy. Our culture celebrates independence. Our cultures celebrates being self-reliant. Jesus, on the other hand, is teaching dependence and having that deep knowledge of where your strength comes from, and it comes from the Lord. So you have to depend on the vine. Remain in me. Remain connected to the vine. 15th chapter of John is sometimes looked at as a warning, but it's really not. It's an invitation. It's an invite for you to come closer to the Lord, to remain in me. So I ask you one question that you need to look inside yourself and say, are you connected to the vine? That's really the question of the day. Are you connected to the vine? And remember that Jesus' promise is that if the branch remains connected to the vine, that fruit will come. You know, one example that you see in the implementation of this is you take a look at sports and you look at the number of times that a player will come off the field and they will have just won a game, won a championship, had a great play, did something. And as he walks off the field, first thing he says is, "Glory goes to God." He's trying to stay close to the vine when he does that. He's trying to make it that he can be fruitful in his life. I hope you like that. Please subscribe. Please follow. Please, whatever it is you need to do down below. This has been a great opportunity for me. I do appreciate being able to do this. Thanks.